Hello, my name's David Hillson, the Risk Doctor. I'd like to talk to you about the use of humour in a professional setting, and particularly drawing on my own professional area of risk management. There's a lot of humour in projects and in business, and humour is a very powerful tool if it's used properly. Humour can be used to connect people, or it can also be used to divide people. So we need to use humour professionally in a very sensitive and intentional way. We need to be sensitive to our audience, to our situation, and to the culture. I'll come back to culture a little bit later on. But I think it's important for us to recognise that if we're going to connect with people, first of all, we need to understand our audience. What do they already know? What are they expecting? And how will they respond to different types of humour? So, for example, in the world of risk management, we could use very specific humour which requires technical or domain knowledge, a good understanding of what risk is all about. So, for example, we might say that risk professionals love statistics, but people who love statistics aren't normal. Are you laughing? Or we might say that the average risk professional is just mean. Get it? Or if you told me I was just as bad as all the other risk professionals, it would put me in a bad mode. Well, all right, enough of that. Or we could use something which is a bit more generic, which you don't need specialist knowledge of risk management to understand, but where there's enough in the joke or the humour for you to make the connection. So, for example, we could say a little risk management saves a lot of fan cleaning. Maybe you're laughing, I'm not sure. Or we could say a bit more philosophically, everything about the future is uncertain. Probably. Or we could use those limericks. How about this one? There was a young planner called Bart who thought risk was a science, not art. Ignoring heuristics, preferring statistics, he really was not very smart. Or how about this? A young risk manager called Schmidt thought managing risk was no hit. He said, I have no fear, for we have no risk here, but he ended up knee-deep in trouble. Well, maybe that's funny, maybe it's not. So let me move away from specific examples of humour in the professional setting using risk as an example and talk a little bit about cultural differences. For example, here in the UK, where I'm from, our humour is rather indirect. It's rather delayed. We don't expect you to laugh straight away. It's more hidden. And so we tell you a joke and you have to fill in the gaps and then decide whether or not to laugh. Our cousins in the US, on the other hand, their humour is much more direct, it's much more immediate. They tell you what the joke is, hit you between the eyes and expect you to laugh straight away. And then in some other cultures, humour in a professional setting is seen as disrespectful, it's seen as unprofessional and not really welcome. So we do need to be very sensitive to the way that we use humour in different cultural settings. Well, let me finish up this very short comment on the use of humour in a professional setting to say how hard I found it to record this short video. Why is that? Well, it's because you're not here. I don't have an audience to tell my humour to. There's no reaction, there's no connection with anybody. You might be laughing out there out loud or just quietly smiling, or maybe thinking this is really bad and boring and about to turn it off. I just can't tell. And since the purpose of humour is to connect people, then I need to know how my audience is responding to the humour to know whether it's going down well or not, whether I need to adjust my style, use more or less, or maybe none at all. Humour is really worth using, but only if it's done well. It can connect and it can divide. Why don't you try it? Try connecting with your audience, whether you're in training or consulting or public speaking, and connect with your audience through humour and have some fun. That's what I do. Why don't you try it?